Well, joining me now, presidential historian, former senior advisor to Ron Paul's 2012 presidential campaign, Doug Wead joins us now. And I just want to say, first of all, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Mention the fact that you did work for the Bush administration, H.W. Bush's administration as well. It's an honor. I want to talk to you about, first, your reaction to what, as a working journalist, to me, seems like the most exciting primary campaign season I have ever witnessed. And I started back, I'm going to say this very quickly, in 1976, covering a fellow by the name of Ronald Reagan and the Republican convention. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been a part of 10 presidential campaigns where I've actually been on staff, paid. A couple of them were winners, most of them losers, and I've never seen anything quite like this. This is, but I tend to think most of these tend to get resolved before the first ballot. I know everybody swears it's not going to be.
Let's talk about that.
But they tend to be resolved.
You've got a hostile RNC.
Yes.
You've got a hostile Speaker of the House, and I mean hostile toward the man who's calling it a rigged system. By the way, no one outside of Washington is arguing with the man. Trump's got it right. It's rigged against him, and it is animated. The establishment is animated against his candidacy and the millions of voters who are supporting him.
Yes.
What lies in store when we get to the Rules Committee a week before the convention? What happens when we get to the formation of the four fundamental committees that will be running the convention?
Well, the big one, the one that you're all going to be talking about on television for weeks when you get there, is the Credentials Committee. Because in 2012, you had a reverse.
Right.
You had the insiders controlling the convention, and you had a Ron Paul insurgency. And Ron Paul was the stealth delegates like Ted Cruz, and he was doing what the establishment is doing today, so he could arrive at the convention and get his name nominated. And when he got there, the establishment put it down by seizing control of the Credentials Committee and simply removing his delegates off the floor. They bodily carried them off the floor. And Trump could do that.
And who did the establishment put in control of the Credentials Committee?
I don't remember the details of that.
Well,
the Rules Committee was John Sununu.
John Sununu was, wielding immense power. The convention committees, the Credentials Committees, all of it conspiring against Ron Paul specifically. Rule 40B is a result of all of that. And this time the question is, does 40B survive the Rules Committee, the Convention Rules Committee, when in the week before the convention?
Well, now they don't want it to.
Oh.
Now they want it to open it up and allow someone to be nominated on the floor. That's the dream. That's the hope.
But the issue is whether it will happen. Will Trump, if he proceeds as he is right now, have sufficient power within that committee because it's made up of the delegates? Will he have the power to forestall that effort by the establishment that doesn't seem to be losing any of its antipathy for Donald Trump and his candidacy?
Yes, I think that's why they've got Paul Manafort in there, and it's interesting. I think Lewandowski was great. I think he did a great job.
Sure.
But you have to credit Trump for being smart enough to know, now I need a convention genius. And he's brought in Manafort, who is a convention genius.
Well,
and
he's going to need a lot of geniuses before it's over.
He will. But the key is, can Manafort take over the Credentials Committee and remove some of those Ted Cruz delegates and make it a first ballot? I think they're going to win it on the first ballot. I think Trump, unless he makes a big mistake in the media, something he says or does that becomes the critical snowflake that breaks the branch in the next few weeks, I think they'll win it on the first ballot.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and an early test of how he's doing in the midst of all of this as he's been managing his campaign. And that's really what this is. He is managing a campaign, the likes of which we've never seen before.
It's true.
Ron Paul looked like he was managing IBM by comparison to what Trump has done here. He is the, if you will, the independent cuss running a lean organization, getting a lot done.
He's rewritten the rules. You know, it used to be, when I worked for George H.W. Bush, it was a 45-second answer. We would grill him with Roger Ailes. We would work on preparing for the debates. Trump has reduced it to 2 words.
Right.
Lion Ted or Crooked Hillary or, or Little Marco. He's reduced it to 2 words.
And in his own case, he's pretty strong on one brand and has always been a branding genius. He uses just one word there, and that's Trump, of course.
I think he's been underestimated pretty big.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing, with all that he's achieved, still being underestimated? Well, did you really?
I underestimated him. I have to admit it. But it's fun to see the
You're one of the few
establishment.
savants honest enough to say that, and we appreciate you doing it on the show. Doug Wead, great to have you here.
Thank you very
Come back soon, will you?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.